Brandon Sanderfans with Ben and Sam. I'm Ben, as always, with my best friend, Sam.
Sam. That's me. I'm Sam. And my best friend, Ben. This is the only podcast
Hey!
where two best friends get together and talk about one of the coolest authors, at least our favorite author, Brandon Sanderson. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Like, if you saw him in public, sunglasses, always, because he's a cool guy.
Sometimes two pairs of sunglasses. Why? He's that cool.
Yeah, he took them off and threw them at me. He said, "Hey kid, get cooler someday." And then another pair of sunglasses came down from the heavens and then rested on the bridge of his nose. And the weird thing is, he was literally he was wearing two pairs of sunglasses already. So those sunglasses just went over his other pair. I guess it's like protection. Maybe he has an eye problem. I don't know.
I don't, maybe one pair of sunglasses is because his eyes are very sensitive to all light, like all light ever. And the other pair of sunglasses is to protect those sunglasses because those sunglasses are also very sensitive to light.
You know, I did see the sunglasses tear up a little bit in the little time that they were exposed to the light. They were just like, oh, geez. It's like, you know, you have that one lamp in your house and you're like, okay, I need light in this room right now, but please turn that off as soon as you can. And you're just like squinting at it. That's what these sunglasses were doing.
But what's important is that his eyes remain safe and sound so that he can continue to see the words that he writes to bring us more
He's a true gentleman.
books.
He even thinks about inanimate objects' feelings, and I think that's what makes him really special as a writer. He's not in any read any Brandon Sanderson book, and it's not just the people that are reacting to things. All of the things that he describes, he's like, in the chair creaked. That's the chair being like, ugh, sister, really? You're gonna do that?
Sit here?
Jeez,
Ugh.
it's a living. That's what it's saying.
Wah, wah. Mistborn, the sitcom. I would watch the crap out of that. Oh, man.
And it would be a literal sitcom because it's just about chairs.
Oh, no. You didn't. You didn't.
Sitcom, obviously short for seated comedy.
Seated comedy.
That was my favorite part of Who Designed This Anyway, when they did some sitcom.
Oh, man.
Oh,
It was just like 38 minutes of just filming chairs and a laugh track in the background, and every once in a while a catchphrase. But you know what? Before we talk about more chairs and Brandon Sanderson's hit sitcom...
Yeah, I gotta address something. Last week, I know a lot of you people may have been on edge, concerned about what was going on with my dog. My dog is fine.
Yes.
Wesley's okay. I was concerned because I live in a condo, and if the dog needs to go pee, it's on me to take him to the bathroom place, which is outside. And if he's crying, it's normally because he needs bathroom place in like 0.0 seconds. And so I was like, oh, he's on my bed, and he could just dumpage all over it. Sorry to get blue. But he could. Like, he's an animal. He doesn't have any, brains.
Yeah, animals don't have brains. That is actually a common fact that many people know. And especially dogs. They know 4 things. They know love, they know food, they know sleep, and they know I gotta poop on Ben's bed unless I go outside right now.
My
I know what
dog,
you're thinking. That's oddly specific to Ben's dog. No, that's every dog. Every single dog.
Every single dog. That's why I haven't had a dog for a long time, because every dog's hardwired into wanting to poop on my bed, specifically. But getting away from that a little bit, I just wanted to assuage any concerns about my dog. He did not do any business inside the house on that day. And I was able to get him outside. Literally right now he's upstairs sleeping on the giant king bed that is also my bed. He does sleep in our bed.
That is also your bed.
He's a giant dog. He's a big old greyhound. And I would say, Sam, maybe most dogs know 4 things. My dog maybe knows 2 things. And those 2 things are food, which is closely linked to ear scratches. Like ear scratches are also food in his brain. And he's equally excited for
I believe
both.
it.
And pooping on my bed. So
your your dog is one of the rare dogs that they only need those two things to live. You know that dogs don't breathe? They don't even need to breathe.
They don't breathe.
They eat and they poop.
They don't breathe. A lot of people think that it's dogs that are ruining our ecosystem, but they don't breathe. They don't shoot out any carbon dioxide, so I don't see how it could be. They do some dirty business out in the yard though, and I know because I pick up that dirty business all the time now.
They don't have carbon whatever you said, but they do have methane and lots of it.
My dog. So anyone that hasn't owned a greyhound may not know that they literally have the worst gas of any dog and the worst breath. Like its both ends are just like halitosis avenue, and that's halitosis avenue is just the nickname for its like digestive system, and both ends are just like garbage receptacles. I swear, like we'll be laying in bed and like we'll just start dying because he did it too, right there.
You're like, oh wow, we're just so comfortable in our bed. This is our safe space after a long day, and we're dead. We've died. We've died, and we're in heaven.
Our dog that looks like a skeleton because he's just muscle and bones just killed us. He cast a magic spell of stank all over our bed. Oh, what level was that spell? It was level 7. It was level 7 spell. It was a god spell. We're dead.
Oh, if that toot was its own entity, you would see like 3 or 4 skulls above it. Just don't even go near it.
You can't beat this one.
You can't.
The dungeon master in this case being the greyhound breeders, have put this here to keep you from going into this room. And this room is now my life, living next to this dog.
Oh man, you have found a way to live with it and survive. You are the real Kingslayer. Congratulations.
Well, the good news is, we already in a previous episode we already weaponized bad improv. I'm working with our military contacts now that we have those in place to weaponize this. Just a big old stank bomb. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you want to get stanked on? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It took me longer than I care to admit to realize what is was.
Nefertiti's coming back from the dead and special forces can't take her down? Yeah, why don't we just drop one of these bad boys on her? She'll go right back down.
Right back down to wherever she was staying, which was that place. I don't know. Mythology.
Under hell?
Yep, that's the one. You know that movie War Dogs with Miles Teller and Jonah Hill?
You're talking about Lord of War with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, right. I've never seen that movie, but I'm pretty sure it's the movie version of our bad improv and your dog's toots becoming weapons.
Yeah, well,
and I don't remember signing any rights over, but that's cool. I'm sure it's a great movie.
That was actually me, Sam. I signed your rights over.
Oh man, I didn't see any of that good. Those good. What's the word when you get money from a thing you did?
Residuals.
Yeah, I didn't see any of them residuals. So
yeah, the thing is,
pass me like a $5.
Miles Teller with his baby face, he was actually just your baby in the movie.
Okay.
He's just
doing
mostly baby work now. Like he realized that he couldn't play a grown adult anymore with his cheeks, and so he's just mostly doing like big-headed babies, like the movie Little Man.
Oh man! Another movie I haven't seen, but I can only assume it's also about my son because he has a gigantic head.
Little Man is a movie where Marlon Wayans plays a I think it's a little person that is like pretending to be a baby to get closer to like this diamond because he's like really a thief. So Marlon Wayans literally plays the entire movie with his full-sized head on a baby's body, and it's
Stop
disturbing.
It right now.
It's very disturbing, and the entire thing is just CG'd like baby body giant Marlon Wayans head. Well,
That's not a
it's not
that's
really a
not a
baby's body.
thing.
It's like in Baby
No.
Geniuses where they used little people and then CGI'd the baby's faces onto little people while they ran around and did genius stuff.
And did some punching and some kicking. Oh man,
The thing
I'm
is,
writing
they
down
could
a
have made that
list of
exact
things I need
same
to see.
movie, but just with the little people acting normal and called it Little Geniuses, and I think it would still be relevant today. Just like there's a secret cabal of little people that are just smarter than the rest of us, better than the rest of us, and saving the world, so that us tall people don't have to concern ourselves with it.
I would pay a reasonable amount of money to see that.
I think there's too little movies that feature the culture and like actual characters of little people too often. Like I know that like the only one that we have in like the public eye right now is really like Mr. Tyrion from Game of Thrones. Like he's the only like super popular one. But still, I wouldn't mind seeing a movie about like little people living their lives and doing what they do and being used for entertainment by us and how that affects them. I mean, come on, I think we're ready for it.
Well, we do have that. What is that? Little People, Big World. That's that one on TLC, I think.
No, you're thinking of The Littlest Prince, which was The Bachelor, but what if he was a little person? The Littlest Groom, not The Littlest Prince. The Littlest Groom.
That's also not a thing.
That is
What?
a thing. That is a thing. I remember watching the entire series when I was a kid. And like now, okay, a lot of those reality shows from back in like the early thousands are really gross now. Like you can't watch Rock of Love and Flavor of Love.
Oh, no
with,
way.
with like modern day sensitivities because of how like gross all of it is. The Littlest Groom is kind of like that. Added on top of the fact that like the entire time he's like he almost doesn't want to be there to the point where when he gets to the end they're like pushing him like the goal of the Bachelor or Bachelorette is that they're going to propose at the end to whoever they choose, and he doesn't. He gives her the ring and he's like, this isn't a ring of
What?
proposal, this is a ring of friendship. I hope we can be friends forever.
Oh my gosh. What?
Exactly, yeah.
How? Ah.
Oh, I could talk about Bachelor
I need to
spin-offs
see
all
that.
day. I literally that is my aesthetic. But I think people came here for Brandon Sanderson stuff as well.
It's been 15 minutes and we've talked about Greyhound Toots,
Greyhound Toots,
Miles Teller, a Marlon Wayans film about. You say he was a crook of some kind?
Yes,
doesn't
so
matter.
he's a little
Let's
person
talk
that's
about
also
some Brandon
crook.
Sanderson.
It's
Talk about Brandon Sanderson, please.
I can't believe I didn't even mention The Boss Baby coming out next week.
Starring Alec Baldwin.
Starring Alec Baldwin.
Wow.
All right, but yeah, getting into the chapters. These are some great chapters we got going on. We get all the way to the end of part 2. I think there are 4 parts or 5 parts. Yeah, researcher needs it.
I think so. We're just here to read. We're just here to read.
But we follow up right in the aftermath of Vin and Ellen's meet cute. So she comes back and she's like, "Who was that boy?" And everyone's like, "Oh, that was Ellen Venture. You probably stepped in it, and everything's gonna be ruined and awful." And she's like, "Ugh." Count another one down for the Vin girl, and then she puts her head in her hands and then sighs.
And then Sazed writes on a board, it's like, that's 1 for everybody else, none for Vin.
Yarg.
New York. Yep, that's it.
That's what she says.
Well, it was I always thought, I guess I didn't really understand when I first read it why it was such a bad thing for her to be, like, talking to him or dancing with him or flirting with him or whatever.
Yeah.
Because, and of course it explains, if other people saw, there could be jealousy, there could be anger, there could be rumors. But what I didn't notice before that I really liked is that Vin talks about, or at least she thinks to herself, while she was with him, talking to him, she felt like more of herself than she ever had.
I literally wrote this down. Like it was like the first time that she felt like she wasn't being Vin, the scared girl. She wasn't being Vin, the timid crew member, or Vin the Mistborn. Mm-hmm. She was being actual Vin, and she wasn't also not being Velma.
Yeah, which I thought was such a it's really, really sad
Yeah.
that it's, her whole life has been nothing but different faces, but it was also really, really sweet. It was such a nice little glimpse into a deeper part of Vin's character that we have not seen until now. Oops, sorry. And that we will, we'll continue to see a little more as the chapters in the books go on. But it was such a cool little moment when I was reading that. And of course, and I've mentioned this before, it's something I missed reading through it the first time. Or if I did read it, I was just like, that doesn't matter. Vin's not a person. And then kept going on.
Well, the thing is, there's a huge in Mistborn, at least in this book, while I'm rereading it, and now that I'm older and I've experienced other people's situations, there is a huge undercurrent of abuse, emotional, physical, and how it affects people and how they think and react, and things like this. People finally feeling like they don't have to put up a front and that they can be themselves. That is a symptom of abuse, that they basically break themselves to fit into a situation where they're not welcome, or they're not comfortable being in, or that they're actually in danger in that situation. For Vin, it was that she had to be a different person so she didn't get actually hurt or possibly killed. And also protect herself. The lessons that Reen gave to her, and it's implied that Reen probably beat her, because she asked Kelsier earlier if Marsh beat him a lot. So she was probably physically abused by Reen, as well as the emotional abuse that he did, saying that she was never going to be worth anything. No one was ever going to care about her. Everyone was only looking out for themselves, and for a moment to betray her. All of those things stirring up in her mind. That's made her so cut off from who she really is and who she wants to be. Because you can really only be who you want to be if you're free. If you're oppressed, if you're beaten down, or even depressed, it's a lot harder to fight for your own personality and for your own self to come out. It's easier just to be someone else who's not going to rock the boat and not going to mess anything up. And I think Vin finding, completely disarmed by Elend and how he makes her feel, it's surprising to her that she finally feels something like real, something true about herself. And I like how her feelings are her own. She feels comfortable around Elend, but she is the one that's finally connecting with her true self, because she is the one that's accepting her place in the crew, that's accepting that people can actually care or even love her, and that she can live a normal life away from being beaten or killed.
And right in that little moment of her, like having all these thoughts of she was who. Here's the line. It says, no, she'd simply been whoever she was. It was a strange experience. And she's thinking about it, and then it goes on to be like, wait a second, what if he used allomancy on me? And that's where the old habits of having to always cover her back and always be sure that she's gonna end up not getting hurt or not getting beaten. Immediately all these she has this moment of somewhat of an awakening. And I know when somebody says someone has an awakening, it more or less is always associated with something sexual. But with her, if however long she's been alive,
I never
all these
thought about
faces.
that before. Okay. Star Wars, there has been an awakening, and they got all these light dinguses everywhere, these sabers. I don't even. Okay, there's been an awakening in the Force. In the Force, Sam. Is Star Wars just playing with puberties? Is that what it is? It's puberty plays? I'm sorry. Yep. That's what it is. It's been determined. Oh, George Lucas? Bring. Oh, hello, George Lucas. How is that? Yeah, I made light dinguses in space, and I made everyone want to hug and kiss a big woolly man. So yeah, it's about waking up. It's about waking up and wanting to do stuff to other people in your body. Go crazy up there. Oh, he hung up.
Space,
oh, he's gone.
No one can see you.
Yeah, I guess no one can see you in space. That's how that works,
wow.
Right? No one can see anything in space, because it's only on Earth that vision
'Cause the
exists.
oh boy, yep, and that's exactly where I was going with this.
I'm sorry, like, as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh man, I wonder if that was something that 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 Mr. Lucas or James Abrams was writing up when he was doing it. Um,
Well, they had to consult about it because he's like, "Hey, what do you think would be a good title? I want it to be really sexy. That's what the kids are into." And then George,
he's like,
and then
I know,
George said,
we've made a lot of Star Wars movies, but I want this to be the sexy Star Wars movie.
and then George said, recently I've had an awakening. And then James Abrams said, "Hold it, Spring Awakening. Have you heard that musical?" And then, and then they drew some sexy pictures of Chewbacca and called it a night. And that's how Star Wars Episode 7 was written. I actually haven't seen Star Wars Episode 7. I assume it's very sexy.
Sam, I would say it's probably the least sexy movie made as a blockbuster. I don't remember one bit of it where sexuality even takes even close part in that movie. I mean, there's the one part where it's like, is this my girlfriend? Like, that's 1 second. But other than that, nah.
So there wasn't like a Caligulan rumpus room anywhere?
No, Sam. If the sexiest Star Wars movie has to be Star Wars Episode 6 now, Return of the Jedi.
I knew.
I mean, you just got Jabba the Hutt's love palace all over. Everyone's just touching one another. They're all friends. They're like, hey, how's it going? And you get the remastered, and there's a lip monster that sings at you. Lip monster.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
You know what I'm talking about. That lip monster, very charged sexually towards children.
Well, hold up. Towards children?
Well, who else is Return of the Jedi, guided towards? You beat the Rancor by dropping a gate on its head. That's Lego stuff right there. I did that with Legos. That's Lego stuff.
So,
I mean, the lip monster was a bit much. I grew up with the VHSs, and I remember when I saw that, I'm like, oh, if I had this when I was a kid, I would be dead.
I just remember when the remastered version came out and I was watching it, that my problem as a kid was I was never able to finish any of the VHSs because they were so long and my attention span was very short. And so anytime something came up that made me very uncomfortable, I'd be like, I'll try to watch this another time. And so when Lip Monster came on, I was like, I might need to go somewhere. And I just left home for about 4 years.
I'm gonna go adopt a dog.
That was away.
I'm gonna go do anything else. I'm gonna go start a Jamba Juice.
I gotta get a job. Maybe Jamba Juice will not have a scary lip lady.
And then you see a lady like the day after a lip injection. She has to come in and get a smoothie because she can't eat anything. And you're like, triggered.
Hey, I gotta go start a Pinkberry. I need Pinkberry.
I'm not trying to shame anyone that gets lip injections. It was just a funny image. But getting back to Mistborn a little bit.
What the hell were we talking about?
I have no idea. So speaking about that, going back into Mistborn.
Well, let's talk about. We're 25 minutes in. Let's talk about what I want to talk about, and that is I totally forgot that Chapter 14 existed. They get to Credit Shaw.
Yeah, they get to the Hill of 1,000 Spires. They get to it's like if a sea urchin released a death metal album. That's what the Hill of 1,000 Spires would look like. They go to Credit Shaw.
Hold on.
What?
Hold on.
Yeah?
Hold on. Oh, yep, that's the exact description that Brandon Sanderson uses in the book.
He's like, Vin and Kelsier, look over the Hill of 1,000 Spires, Credit Shaw, the home of the Lord Ruler. Imagine, if you will. A sea urchin had a death metal band named maybe Crustaceans of Hate, and
Crustaceans.
that's really close to like hate Asians, so I don't know about that, but and they gotta go inside. You could write an entire death metal album about this. That would be. I would love to read a death metal album that's just like maybe 5 or 6 tracks, and it's like them infiltrating, them taking out the guards, them reaching the room and getting betrayed, and then being chased by the Inquisitors and being saved by Sawzed, and just like all of that stuff. I don't know, that would be a cool concept for an album.
It would, and I death metal would be a good genre. I think even, and here's my old nerdy dorky side, is get some symphonic metal in there. Get like a nice metal band, but an opera singer. Yeah. Oh, I could feel it.
Sam, are you saying opera singer because you're pitching yourself as the opera singer in this band?
Absolutely not, because symphonic metal bands need tenor opera singers.
Oh yeah,
because they need to sound a little like women.
Well, my dog's been neutered. Do you think he could do it?
You know what? If there was a concept album called The Hill of a Thousand Spires by Crustaceans, and it featured your dog as the singer, I would pay out the butt to listen to that.
Gotta set up the Kickstarter, guys. Let's do a GoFundMe. Let's fund this. The only problem is my dog doesn't make noises unless he's playing like really intensely, or unless he is through his own stupidity put his tail in a situation where it's absolutely going to be hurt. Sometimes he'll get up on the couch and he'll just shove his tail between a couple cushions, and I'm just like, this isn't going to go well. Like, why are you doing this? And he tries to get up, and he's like, nope. I'm like, you put it there, you dumb dog.
See, that's why you're gonna have to have you're gonna hire someone to follow Wesley around with a boom mic and just record everything. Panting noises, licking noises, toots, yelps, tummy grumbles. I think so. And when you have all that, you'll have to spend at least 418 years just trying to compile everything together to make it a song, an audible song.
The good news is, greyhounds are pretty much indestructible because they've been bred in such a specific way to live so long and to be so healthy so that they can run in the races. So yeah, he'll be around for 418 years. He'll be around. He's basically the cockroach of the canine kingdom.
So you're saying that it's the opposite of a pug.
Whereas a pug has been bred to just die as quickly as possible in such as horrible a way as you can. Just like, I want a dog that if he sneezes, his brains come out. Like, his brains stop existing. I want a dog that when he coughs, the cough doesn't come out of his mouth, but goes down into his lungs, and his lungs are swallowed. And they're like, oh, you mean a pug? Yeah, a pug.
It stands for Pretty Ugly Gopher, because that's what they look like.
They crossed a Chihuahua with a gopher, and they got a pug, and they're like, why is its eyes like that? Like, that's the Chihuahua, right? That's the Chihuahua.
Don't look at it right in the eyes, because you'll bring out the Chihuahua, and then we'll all be dead.
So, Hill of a Thousand Spires, they get there. So, Sam, what was it like apparently reading this for the first time? What was it like reading this section?
It was stressful. I honestly don't remember it. Like, some of these chapters, I'll start reading it and go, oh, this is pretty new to me. And then as I go on, I'm like, oh, you know what? I remember this. But reading through all of this, I didn't remember a single thing. They walk in, they start killing some people. Vin kills someone for the first time, and I was like, Vin? What happened? You were so innocent. Kels, what? What's going on? And then they get into that one room where there's some paintings or whatever, and then all these Inquisitors show up, and they're like, Vin, who's your daddy? Who is it? But not...
Sorry, I'm just thinking of like these genderless blobs with metal eyes, just being like, "Who's your daddy, girl?"
Of course, they said it a little more menacing and in probably more appropriate parlance, but it was pretty intimidating nonetheless. If somebody with big spikes of their eyes even just whispered, "Who's your daddy?" I think I would die.
Your heart would go into your eyes, and you just pump blood everywhere until you died. You'd just be like, "No, no, no."
But it was. We see Kelsier get pretty awesome for a second when he broke one of their arms, and then Vin tries to fight him off. Of course, they're pretty strong, but it really was. I know exactly how the books end. I know that Vin doesn't die, but it was still kind of crazy because, as I mentioned, this was very new to me, and so I'm reading through all of this. She has the book, and then she hides, and she's saved by someone who we later find out is Sazed. But it was a pretty crazy chapter, especially because this is our first real meeting, or I guess first time we ever really see Inquisitors in action. Mm-hmm. We've seen them before. We've seen what they do to people when they went back to Cayman's hideout and killed everybody.
Yeah.
But it was cool and incredibly intimidating. And not only as a reader, but I'm sure to everybody else.
Yeah, and so
to have those Inquisitors like that.
We essentially learn like maybe you can run from Inquisitors, but Kelsier is not nearly as strong as an Inquisitor. And the thing is, like there are like 30 to 40 at least, I would say, Inquisitors. Not all of them are in Luthadel at any time. Some of them, are traveling abroad in other dominances. So. What chance do they really have? They have 2 Mistborn, but if neither of the Mistborn are a match for any of the Inquisitors, and there's so many Inquisitors there, like, what are they supposed to do? It's really, like, kind of a gut check, and in the next chapter, I'll go ahead and spoil it, Vin looks up at Kelsier and says, "We're not invincible, are we?" And he laughs, like yeah, I had to learn that lesson too, and he still has to remember that lesson sometimes. He ran in there. Going into Kedrick Shaw is probably one of the stupidest things Kelsier could have done, especially at the point of the game that they're in, because he's so necessary. And Vin following him when she knows that he's going to be doing something crazy that night is probably one of the stupidest things that Vin does. But she they're filled with all of this new power, all of this. I bet you anything. Kelsier in the pits of Hathsin, just thinking back, and in all the years afterwards, thinking back of that day when they did their first raid on Kedrick Shaw, and went in there, and then thinking back how it would be different now that he's a Mistborn, like, this was probably like a dream fulfillment for him. Finally, he could go in there and wreck shop, which is why he didn't hesitate to, like, kill every single person that he saw, to, just break his way through everything. So I think this was definitely a pride play for Kelsier that he had to go into there.
Absolutely.
And
he even talks... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just next week, there's... he talks about kind of... or not next week, this is the last chapter. Kelsier, when he gets back and he doesn't know if Vin is okay or not, because they get split up, he talks about he's just filled with self-loathing. And I think... This is, you can see the cracks around Kelsier in bits and pieces. I think he's highly depressed. He hates himself a lot. And I think it's half because he is half nobleman, and he's worried that all the things that he's doing are worthless, that he's just basically serving himself just like the noblemen do. I think that he's worried that his plan's not going to work, that all of it's meaningless, that he's just going to get all his friends killed. But I think he also just, ever since Maris died, he's just been broken inside and just kind of hates who he is and what he's done his entire life.
Absolutely. And he mentions in, I think it's the end of chapter 15, where he's like, how many, first Mar and now Vin, how many people have to die for your cause or for this cause? Mm-hmm. He talks to Doxson and he's like, dude, I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if this is going to be possible, and I'm afraid that it's just going to end up in failure. We can draw him, we can draw the Lord Ruler out of the city, we can steal his stuff, we can distract him, we can do all this, but in the end, there's no way we can beat him. And like you said, he is absolutely depressed. He's dealing with so much garbage that, he's, without sounding totally heartless, he's brought upon himself through his own choices, even if obviously he doesn't deserve it because he's trying to do the right thing. He has brought this on himself, and Vin, although Kelsier was like, "You're not coming with me," she was like, "I'm coming with you." He does bear a certain amount of responsibility for her and for what has happened to her. So of course he's going to be, completely distraught at the fact that he might have killed someone else, someone else that could have been or who was a very valuable member to his team. It was a two very heavy chapters. Even if 15 wasn't very long, I think it was just like 6 or 7 pages, but there was a lot that happened, and a lot of stuff that let us peer into Kelsier and more of his doubts, rather than the smiling nobleman, or kind of nobleman that he normally is.
Yeah.
It was a good short 3 chapters, and like I said, a lot happened. And it moved us into part 3.
Yeah, and I think part of it is like, as a crew leader before he was sent to the Pits of Hethson, before he got caught, he would take all these dangerous jobs and fulfill them perfectly. Pretty much, he would be able to get one over all the time on the noblemen. And now he's a Mistborn coming back. He has an even better crew than he did before. I think that he feels he's got all of these resources, and he still feels like he's failing. And I think that in part is also feeding into his self-loathing. Like, if he couldn't do it before, how can he do it now? Even though he has all the power that could ever be given to him, individually as a person. So it's interesting, and Kelsier's a very interesting character, very conflicting. He comes off like the interesting thing is, for everyone that meets him, he comes off like a hero, but inside he's just a mess. He's a self-destructive, selfish, very concerned mess of bad habits and unthinkable thoughts that are keeping him back. Really interesting. Hey, a couple things that I want to touch on that we didn't do before. Elend. Kelsier says that Ellen nearly died in a raid a couple years back. I took a little bit of time to figure out what raid it would have been. Later in later chapters, they said there hasn't been any major uprising in a long time in Luthadel and the Central Dominance, and I think that's a Ska uprising that they were talking about. So I don't think it was a Ska raid. Maybe it was another house raiding on them, or something. I don't know.
Was that? Are you talking about when they said Elend isn't a Mistborn because there's a raid?
Exactly, there's a raid, and he nearly died. If he was a Mistborn, it would have been then that he would have shown it, or any Elementic powers at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so I don't know what I'd like to think that the raid was a group of Ska raiding Keep Venture and attacking all the people there, because that makes a lot of sense, and it also makes sense on why maybe Elend is seeking to understand the political situation of what puts him above the Ska, so that he can understand all of this hatred and fear and anger that the Ska have toward him and his family. So I would think that maybe it was just something like that, something that maybe happens every once in a while. But I can't remember any other time where they mention it. But I just thought that was interesting.
And of course, we've read in previous chapters, they talk about the Ska, that the uprisings or rebellions, but the Ska now are just so dejected that they don't even try. Mm-hmm. There hasn't been one in so long because they just don't care. Yeah. They're just like, whatever. we've got our gig, and everyone's still alive sometimes. We're good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put headcanon out there, which I normally don't do, but that Ellen, his interest in the ska and in ska nobleman politics started when he nearly died in this raid, and that's when he started to study. Maybe he knew that he couldn't fight them, but maybe he could understand them and be able to work with them better in the future and make something better of it.
Yeah. That's a good point. And, that's actually something, when we first started the podcast, we wanted to talk about possible theories that we have or things like this. Excuse me for clearing my throat so much. But things like this, we learn something about a character. We try to make connections. Ben, that's a great connection. I didn't even think about that, but that's a good connection between the two. That's a correlation.
Yeah, and then there's also the small religious room. So there are lots of religious paraphernalia in this room in Kedrick Shaw where Vin kind of hides out for a little bit while she's being chased by an Inquisitor. I guess maybe this is like all of the religious paraphernalia that's left from the Empire before, or maybe it's specifically... we'll learn more about the book and what it's about and... and all this stuff, and what the Lord Ruler is doing there. But I think that room is kind of an interesting character piece for the Lord Ruler, that it's his room. He probably visits it frequently for certain religious rites and stuff like that. So, yup, even God's gotta pray. Am I right?
Am I right? Yeah. Hey, what if God were one of us? Am I right?
What if God smoked cannabis?
I don't think that's. We have this episode is gonna be rated T for teen. Y7.
Okay.
Year 7.
I want to explain myself. When Sam and I both went to a charter school here in Arizona, and there was a math lab. And the computers in the math lab, there was Windows Media Player, and at the time Windows Media Player was pretty much like faux Napster or pre-YouTube. Like you could stream music on Windows Media Player, you could just find songs. And one of the songs that someone had downloaded on my computer in keyboarding class was "What If God Smoked Cannabis." The thing is, I was like 11 years old. I had never heard the song "What If God Was One of Us." I'm like, this song's boring and dumb, and I don't even know what cannabis is. Also, smoking's bad, and you shouldn't do it. And so I'm like, this is sacrilege, and I closed it down, and I listened to another one, Rise the Bus, the a cappella version, like the 4th time in a row. It was such a weird mix of like very, very like 11-year-old teen songs to listen to that just existed on this random computer in the keyboard class, and I think I remember all of them. There was a lot of them were just a cappella versions of Weird Al songs, which I didn't know was like if you're an a cappella group and you don't do like 4 Weird Al songs in an album, are you even an a cappella group anymore? Are you taking yourself too seriously? Oh, I'm sorry, Pentatonics.
I guess not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me put my monocle on to listen to your music. Jeez. I thought I was gonna hear Since You've Been Gone, and I think I'm a clone now. Jeez.
But instead we heard Since You've Been Gone by Avril Lavigne or whatever her name is, and then I think I'm alone now. Oh jeez.
Instead I'm listening to a Hamilton medley. I don't want to listen to Hamilton medley. I want to listen to word crimes. but a bad acapella version. The real version is too good for me. I'm a garbage person. I gotta listen to your I want to hear your mouth make all the sounds that Weird Al makes with instruments.
I want you to sound like an accordion. Why don't you sound like an accordion?
I imagine that's like auditions for an a cappella group. They're just standing there and like, okay, let me just start this one up for you and we'll see how you do. And they just start playing Smells Like Teen Spirits. Like, I need you to be the guitar and the backup vocals. And so they're just up there just like, he's like, you're hired. Our band's name is Crustaceans.
Crustaceans. We're working on a concept album. It's going to be really good. Have you read Mistborn? You're fired.
You're fired. I can't believe you haven't read Mistborn. And they just throw the books at them. And there's just a lot of people out on the street, a lot of grown men with nothing else to do on a Thursday afternoon with welts on their heads and the book Mistborn in their hands. And they're like, maybe I will read it.
And then a couple years later, the guy comes back. He's like, hey, you read Mistborn. Do you still have the book? I kind of need to return it to the library. It's overdue.
And I love just like all of them, like the look on their faces. They didn't even get given a book. They got loaned a book that was already loaned from the library.
That was already loaned. Oh, man. That's like giving someone a loan and then charging them less interest than the bank is charging you. You're screwed. You're totally screwed. Return the book, please. Give it back to the guy. He already owes like $400 in overdue fees. Hey everyone! Thank you for listening to Brandon Sanderfans.
Oh, Sam,
Ben, how do you want to end?
We need to end.
You want to end the show?
We're gonna end it with making some magic today. Last week we did the trailer for the rom-com of Vin and Ellen's Love, and this week we're going to do Make Magic.
Oh wait, did we come up with a title for that? Because I came up with one when I was reading through the chapters. You ready for this?
Yeah, go for it.
Mistborn to love you. Whoa.
I think we did come up with the title before, and it was a play on Mistborn, but it was very bad. That's much better. Mistborn to love you. This fall on Lifetime.
Oh yes. Oh, can it be on Hallmark instead?
Yeah, Hallmark is always so much more spiritual. I just think it's so much. It's so much better.
Oh man. Well, anything's better than Lifetime. Sorry, Mom.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and generate a noun, and then we got to make a magic system revolving around this noun so that Brandon Sanderson on his next book can use it. He doesn't have to work so hard. He works all the time. I want to let him have time with those 3 kids that he's got, you know? They're probably 3 kids, right? There's 3 kids. There's
Yeah,
either he found or lost one. There's 3.
And you know what? He probably hasn't eaten since he wrote his first book. Let's make him some magic so he can have a sandwich.
All right. The random noun is knife. Knife magic, Sam.
Oh, this is too easy.
Too easy.
You eat a knife, you eat a knife, and you become a knife.
You become a knife. And so, like, there are lots of cutlery stores. They need people to advertise, so that's an easy job. Anytime that you need money, all you got to do is eat a knife, you become a knife, and you dance in the corner. They give you like $10 an hour, and maybe it's hot outside, maybe it's a little rough, and maybe you never turn back into a person from being a knife. But you got that $10 an hour, man. That's almost like having health insurance. Sorry. But I have a flip side to this. What if we made...
Okay.
We're going to make an epic fantasy out of the Friday the 13th movies. No, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Go on.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh.
So Freddy is like he's like the great arbiter of all magic because he's got knife hands, right?
Absolutely.
So
wait, what about Edward Scissorhands?
No, those are scissors, Sam. Scissors are not knives.
Those are like knives that can swing towards each other and cut paper. What are you talking about? You know what?
Those are like knives that are getting sexy on one another, isn't it?
That is so right. We're back. Yes, we're back to the sexy.
That's why I always said this, and you know me. I've always said this, that Edward Scissorhands is just as sexier as Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep.
You
wrote that in my yearbook, actually.
Yeah, I bought a page in our yearbook and just put that fact into the universe. Actually, if you look it up,
crazy though.
If you look it up online in Wikipedia, they're like, Edward Scissorhands. You mean just sexy Nightmare on Elm Street? Okay.
What's crazy about the picture you bought for the yearbook is that it's not even a picture of Johnny Depp and Edward Scissorhands. It's actually a picture of Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean, but he doesn't have a sword. There's no knives or anything in it.
No knives.
It's just Johnny Depp.
No knives.
All right. So, Nightmare on Elm Street, knife hands.
Mm-hmm.
He is the arbiter, you say?
Yeah, so like
So what's
you can have maybe surgery, or maybe it's a ritual where you slowly replace your fingers with knives, or he doesn't replace his fingers, he has knives on his hands, so you slowly like gain the ability to have those knives on your hands, but also you're learning to dream walk. So the connection between your knives and your ability to walk through dreams is like one and one. So as you're becoming
snap.
more of a pincushion, more of a death metal sea urchin, you are also learning how to go into the subconscious of other people. And I think that if we make a movie of this, we gotta get. I mean, we have got to get Willem Dafoe to be
Oh my god.
the Merlin and just guiding people through dreams,
Okay.
because it's a dream when you see Willem Dafoe in it.
Oh my
And,
god.
and I think he's
I'm
just
willing.
like he has a different name, and like when you're in the dream, it's like, are you Willem Dafoe? And they're like, they always say that every single time.
I don't even know who Willem Dafoe is. Stop asking that. And
They keep on
my
talking
name
about
is
Green Goblin.
Willem Dafoe. Okay, well let me throw some more magic in there.
Okay.
What if the more knives you have on your hands, the deeper into people's dreams you can go? You know how Inception, they had like 3 levels of dreams, like a dream within a dream within
Okay.
a dream.
Yeah, I like that.
What if the more knives you had, the deeper dream walk you could go, and just mess with their psyche? You go in there and you're like, you are incredibly attracted to Tim Curry's facial hair, and they wake up and they're like, I don't know why, but I need to go buy every copy of Muppet Treasure Island that exists on this planet. See, that's a good way to. The more knives you have, you get in there and you cut some strings, you move some stuff around, and you can control the world. That's probably why Tim Curry's facial hair is so attractive to me. You know what? I think I incepted myself. That was my bad. I'm thinking back to it. That was all me.
Sam, you can't incept yourself. When you're incepted, you'll never realize that's a thing. Don't you know that? You think it's your own thought. You're like, this is an independent thought of my own, because it's deep down inside my bones, in my dream bones, where my dreams go. So I think
Your dream bone is directly underneath your ear, by the way, just so everyone knows.
I think if you get too deep down, like maybe the final scene is like they finally get like to the last level of a dream, and it's just a big old knife. There's no plane, there's nowhere to explore anymore. You're just on a knife's edge, and you're just like, oh well, I'll just unknife out of here, but you can't. You can't. You're stuck there. You're just stuck there with your knife.
Well-
and the thing is,
Well, then-
you can marry
Yeah,
that
this is
knife
good.
because you're like 80% knife now. So, like, you just marry them.
So it's legal.
Exactly, it's legal. You stay in the dream world. You marry that knife. The person that's dreaming, I think, never wakes up and instead is just like a surrogate in a coma for your perpetual life with your dream wife, with your knife wife, your knife wife.
With your knife. Well, can I?
And you're so
Can I
deep down.
offer
You're so
a,
deep down. Every second for like in the real world is like an eternity down there. So, that's how Inception works.
That's really deep. Holy cow.
Yep.
Well, here's an alternative.
Okay.
You get down to the final level.
Yes.
There's a knife there.
Of course.
You eat it.
Oh.
You become
A knife?
a knife. But because you're in someone's dream, you become that knife in someone else's dream.
Oh.
And so then if somebody gets to that level and they eat you, it just repeats the process.
It's kind of like do you remember that Flash game that where you're like a little fish and you keep on eating bigger and bigger fish? It's like that, right? And you just keep on growing.
I don't remember that game, but I absolutely believe that it's a thing because Flash games came up with everything.
I think this is very good, and I know we came up with a lot of plot points for you to follow, Brandon, but I think that there's some real good nuggets in there that you can use for your next book.
Yeah, pick and choose. These we're gonna call these little magicums, because they're nice and teeny. You could just num 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 num.
Yeah.
Take whatever you want.
Yeah, maybe
And
maybe you're
use
gonna have
them.
to remove the Johnny Depp stuff and the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff and the Willem Dafoe stuff and the Willem
And
Dafoe
the sexy
stuff.
Star Wars, the Willem Dafoe, who is also one of my favorite actors. We have a lot of fun here on Brandon Sanderfans with Ben and Sam.
Yep.
But just when you're dreaming, watch out for Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
Just be careful. You never know what he's gonna do.
and this has been a really fun episode to record, you guys. I hope you liked it. Let us know if there's anything that you want us to that you liked about it, or that you thought about these chapters that we should have addressed. Happy to respond to any of you. And you can tweet at us at BSanderfans on Twitter. Also, you can find Sam and me on Twitter. I'm at Ben Parrish with 2 N's, BENNPARRISH. And Sam, what's your Twitter handle?
I'm at Samuel_loose. Loose, as in hang loose, LOOSE. It's so, I think after all these years, I would be a little sick of spelling it out for people, but everywhere I go, they're like, oh, is that LUCE? Is that LUZ? Is that LU or L? Is that LU umlaut over the U? The weird B symbol in German, and I have to say, nope, it's just loose.
Loose as in loose ends, and then you kill them.
With my knife hands.
With my knife
hands.
hands.
We brought it back.
Well, thank you guys so much for
man.
listening, and we'll be back
Thank
next
you.
week with chapters 16 through 18. I think.
And as always, yeah, you're right. As always, go read a book.
Read a book.